At 78 years old, Sally Field has reached a place in her life where reflection comes naturally. With decades of success behind her and nothing left to prove, she has begun speaking more openly about the people, experiences, and emotions that shaped her journey. One of the most moving truths she has shared in recent years centers on her relationship with the late Robin Williams. To the public, their connection was immortalized through the beloved film Mrs. Doubtfire. To Sally Field, however, it was something deeper, more complicated, and far more human. Her reflections are not revelations meant to shock, but honest acknowledgments of love, regret, and unspoken understanding. To understand why her words carry such weight, we must first look at the life that shaped her, one marked by early fame, relentless determination, emotional vulnerability, and an unwavering commitment to authenticity. Early life in a world of performance. Sally Margaret Field was born on November 6, 1946, in Pasadena, California, into a family already closely connected to the entertainment industry. Her mother, Margaret Field, was an actress, while her stepfather, Jock Mahoney, was a respected actor and stuntman. Growing up in Southern California, Sally was immersed in a world where cameras, scripts, and performances were part of everyday life. Yet this proximity to Hollywood did not guarantee an easy path. Instead, it gave her an early understanding of both the glamour and instability that came with show business. From a young age, Field absorbed the discipline required to survive in the industry, as well as the emotional resilience needed to endure rejection and pressure. These formative years quietly shaped her artistic instincts and planted the seeds of a career that would later span generations. Television stardom and early typecasting Sally Field rose to prominence in the mid-1960s, with her breakout role in the sitcom Gidget from 1965 to 1966. Though the show lasted only one season, her portrayal of the bright-spirited teenager captured audiences' hearts and made her a household name. She quickly followed this success with The Flying Nun from 1967 to 1970, playing Sister Bertrill, a novice nun whose airborne adventures charmed viewers. While the role brought her fame, it also confined her. Field later admitted that she felt trapped by these lighthearted, whimsical characters. Though beloved, they did not reflect the depth she knew she possessed. Beneath the cheerful image, she longed to be taken seriously as an actress. That internal tension, the desire to break free from expectations, would become a driving force in the next phase of her career: reinvention. Through grit and training, determined to reshape her career, Sally Field made a bold decision to retrain as a serious dramatic actress. She studied intensely, including work at the Actors Studio under Lee Strasberg, pushing herself emotionally and intellectually. This period was marked by insecurity and perseverance, but it paid off. Her breakthrough came with the 1976 television film Sybil, in which she portrayed a young woman with dissociative identity disorder. The role demanded extraordinary emotional range, vulnerability, and stamina. Field delivered a fearless performance that stunned audiences and critics alike. She won an Emmy Award, and more importantly, she shed the limitations of her earlier image. Sybil redefined her career, proving that she was not merely a television star, but a serious actress capable of inhabiting deeply complex characters. Academy Awards and cultural impact. The late 1970s and 1980s marked a golden era for Sally Field. In 1979, she won her first Academy Award for Norma Rae, portraying a working-class Southern woman who becomes a labor union activist. The role showcased her emotional power and social consciousness. Just 5 years later, she won her second Oscar for Places in the Heart, 1984, delivering one of the most memorable acceptance speeches in Oscar history with the line, "You like me? Right now, you like me." Over time, the line was often misunderstood, but it reflected a lifetime of self-doubt finally giving way to validation. During these years, Field became one of Hollywood's most respected leading ladies, admired not only for her talent, but for her authenticity. Balancing fame, motherhood, and relationships. Behind the accolades, Sally Field's personal life was rich, complex, and often challenging. She married Stephen Craig in 1968, and though their marriage ended in divorce, it brought her two sons, Peter and Eli Craig. Both would grow into creative careers of their own, reflecting their mother's artistic influence. Her high-profile relationship with Burt Reynolds later captured public attention, becoming one of Hollywood's most talked-about romances. Though passionate, the relationship was ultimately unsustainable. Reynolds later called Field the love of his life, while Field viewed the relationship as formative but painful. Her second marriage to producer Alan Greisman brought her a third son, Sam. Throughout it all, Field remained deeply devoted to motherhood, often prioritizing her children over career opportunities, grounding herself in family despite Hollywood's demands. A career that never slowed down. As the years passed, Sally Field continued to prove her versatility. She delivered unforgettable performances in films like Steel Magnolias, Forrest Gump, and Mrs. Doubtfire, where her warmth and emotional depth resonated with audiences. On television, she earned renewed acclaim in Brothers and Sisters, winning another Emmy Award. On stage, she demonstrated theatrical power in productions like The Glass Menagerie. Even in later years, Field showed no signs of slowing down. Her portrayal of Mary Todd Lincoln in Steven Spielberg's Lincoln earned her an Academy Award nomination, reinforcing her reputation as an actress of remarkable longevity and relevance. Robin Williams, A Bond Beyond Romance. At 78, Sally Field has spoken candidly about one of the most meaningful relationships of her life, her connection with Robin Williams. The two starred together in Mrs. Doubtfire, 1993, portraying divorced parents bound by love and conflict. On screen, their chemistry felt effortless and real. Off-screen, Field says the bond was just as deep, though not romantic in the traditional sense. "I really loved him," she admitted, but it was complicated. She described Williams as brilliant, exhausting, tender, and deeply sensitive. His humor was relentless, yet beneath it she sensed a sadness he could never quite escape. Their connection was emotional and intimate, built on trust, laughter, and mutual understanding rather than romance. Regret, grief, and unspoken words. In reflecting on Robin Williams after his passing, Field has shared a painful truth: regret. She wishes she had said more, reached out more, made her care unmistakably clear. "I miss him terribly," she admitted, acknowledging the guilt that often follows loss. She saw his pain even when others only saw his joy. With time, she has wondered whether he ever truly understood how deeply he was loved. Her reflections are not accusations, but confessions, honest admissions shaped by grief and hindsight. For Field, Williams was not just a co-star, but a deeply human soul whose light and darkness coexisted in fragile balance. Early depression and the search for identity. In her memoir In Pieces, Sally Field revealed that she struggled with severe depression in her late teenage years. This was not fleeting sadness, but an overwhelming emotional weight that affected every part of her life. She described an intense anxiety and urgency, a feeling that something inside her was desperate to emerge. This inner turmoil fueled her relentless drive and her search for meaning. The questioning of her worth and identity followed her into adulthood, shaping both her performances and personal relationships. In many ways, this early struggle became the foundation of her emotional depth as an actress, allowing her to access pain, empathy, and truth with remarkable authenticity. Outro, a legacy of honesty and courage. At 78, Sally Field stands as more than a Hollywood legend. She is a woman who has lived fully, loved deeply, and reflected honestly. By finally speaking openly about Robin Williams, her struggles with depression, and the emotional complexities of her life, she offers something rare: truth without spectacle. Her story is not just about fame or awards, but about vulnerability, resilience, and the courage to speak before time runs out. In sharing these truths, Sally Field reminds us all of the importance of saying what matters, loving without reservation, and honoring the people who touch our lives before they become memories.